as you can appreciate, from the very beginning, we have stated that there was nothing to even begin the case for the prosecution. And I think you remember that we made an application to strike out the charges because we thought that the charges will not be able to stand what the prosecution themselves have presented as their initial facts. But I think the learned wanted to be surer than sure. So I think he proceeded with the case in order to determine at the end of the prosecution case, and that was today, to decide whether there is a case or not. And he has decided that the prosecution has not proven many of the ingredients that they ought to prove, but they have not proven at all. So as a result of which, you find that he made a finding on Arul Kanda to be a credible person, a person who has evidence without any hesitation, without any evidence of minimizing his role and maximizing to Sri Najib's role. He wasn't of that character, and therefore Arul Kanda, being the first accused, was given the certificate. That was, you will notice, was an indication of what would be the consequence of the decision on Datuk Sri Najib. And true enough, on Datuk Sri Najib, he found a very critical finding. This one you must take note. He found that there is no element of gratification. That means there was absolutely no element of corruption in Datuk Sri Najib's role in these charges, which we call the auditing charges. All right? And I must also remind you, and I think I owe a duty to the former Auditor General, who I have always thought throughout my cross-examination of that gentleman, I thought he was a pride to Malaysia, because he was a person of credible means and very credible to have held that position. And he didn't buckle under pressure, be it in the parliamentary inquiry. You remember he had an inquiry, he gave evidence there, and he stood fast throughout. And he gave the similar evidence in court, in spite of this being such a politically charged case. So I think if you have characters like that in the public service, this country has got hope.
You had a few words. You had a few words with your client just now. Did he say anything? Was he relieved of?
Yes, he communicated to us. As you know, he can't give a press statement. Number one is that he is so relieved that the judge has made these findings, because it is not really an acquittal and discharge. You must see that the judge could have just prima facie case, acquitted and discharged both the persons, but the judge made specific findings. In the case of Arul Kanda, it is a certificate given to him where he is removed from worthiness, found a credible person. In the case of Datuk Sri Najib, the judge made similar finding, namely, there was no element of corruption and there is no element of gratification. And this, Datuk Sri Najib wants to communicate to the members of the media that he is very. That is what hurts him most, if ever there is a finding of gratification. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
yes, Jaga, you want to ask?
Same question.
Same question, okay. Anybody else?
How is it going to affect Datuk Sri Najib other criminal charges? For example, one will be the wrongdoing one?
All right. I was fearful. Sorry. I was fearful that this is one of the politically charged cases. You can appreciate that. The SRC, the MDB that is ongoing, the audit case, and also the MOF case that he has got. You cannot dilute the fact that it is a politically charged cases. And when it is politically charged, there are other dimensions and there are other considerations come into play. Lawyers in those cases cannot predict actually what would be the result because of the political dynamite that it has got. In this case, this is the first case out of all those politically charged cases that we got a very good result, and it is 100% winning. And I'm hoping that the Attorney General Chambers will not appeal on this because the finding of the judge is completely supportable and he has corroborated his finding. So, to answer your question, what do we hope for? We hope that this is the beginning of the many good things that should come. Because I've always been confident, not just in this case. And I'm going to repeat to you, even the SRC case, why we fought so hard. After a setback in the change of councils, the setback in him not being heard, we fought so hard in the review because I'm confident if the new federal court rehear the matter, we will be able to demonstrate that he is innocent. And if you were there yesterday in the 1MDB case, when we cross-examined that banker, or rather the ex-banker Kevin Swampile, you will notice that Kevin Swampile said that it was Jolo and the team of Jolo that was briefing the bank. And he said with the hindsight, he realized Jolo was a crook and he realized there were so many others. You see, Dato' Sri Najib's case, you must finally take note. All the witnesses that have been called in 1MDB, they are all colorful witnesses in terms of their character. All of them. One of them has been called a crook. By who? By the chairman of Petronas currently. He says he's a criminal. He's a witness. The rest of the witnesses called by them are all witnesses that are involved in the criminal doing of 1MDB. And Kevin Swampile was implicated, but he was honest enough to admit that this is what he did, and he got a way out with the Singapore authorities. I do not want to comment too much on 1MDB because it's an ongoing case. But if you examine SRC, it's the same thing. The crooks are not in court being charged. Only one person is being aimed at. That's my client. And we are hoping finally to demonstrate that time for us to relook at the whole matter and to finally see where justice actually lies.
So what next after this, Tan?
Sorry?
What next after this?
Well, we are hoping, as you know, before 31st March, there is the result of the SRC. I don't want to predict. It will be unfair to the judges. But I am keeping my fingers crossed. Right? And my client wants to tell you that he is grateful to Allah that with this decision today, because it really uplifts his spirit and the desire to fight his innocence. All right? Any other question? Did I leave anything? All right. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.